We'll start with public input. Brian, has anybody signed up? Is there anybody who wishes to speak to the board? Okay, if not, then Kathy, for the record, 4 members are present, and Gil is on vacation with his family, not able to be here. We do have a bill payment. We do have a bill payment of $276,963.78. Vouchers are 2017, 390 through 480. Does somebody wish to move these in for approval? Moved by Art, second by Randy. Any bills that anybody wishes to hold? If not, then all in favor of paying these bills signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Jamie, are you here to discuss highway? Anything you'd like to say? Any questions for Jamie?
I have just one question. I'm looking at these complaints by status, and I'm seeing complaints on 330, and it's related to snow plowing as highlighted on our list. Why are you getting calls on 330, a lot of them on 330, about snow plowing problems? What is their complaint at that point? It snowed on the 15th, 14th, and 15th. Oh, all right, okay. Okay.
Weren't they just mailboxes, Randy?
Some say mailboxes, some say snow plowing. There's both.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Rich, water sewer?
We had a little repair job today on Old Shawnee Road down at the field. And just a little point of why we like to have 2 feet for a subdivision or for a road. In fixing that leak today, we had the entire Commerce Court road shut down and part of Shawnee Road shut down to facilitate the repair. Just because of where valves are installed. There's no other way to feed Commerce Court, so we had Ralph Wilson Senior daycare out of water, we had the child care place down and out of water. In turn, we're calling every 15, 20 minutes to find out when the water's going to be turned on. And the repairs maybe we get the water back on. We were fortunate it was a smaller leak that we did get a day or 2 heads up on it, according to Friday. But the water was going to be out, but even still, we're pounding constantly to turn the water off. And there would have been a second feed for that road. With another road as well. So there's reasons behind why we want to do things. Today was good for the
Anything for Rich? Thank you, Rich. Mike, recreation?
Just a couple of things this evening. This Saturday morning, 10 a.m., Easter party. Easter Bunny will be there, handing out treats for the kids. Come on out, tell your friends. This Friday, we will be hosting a Nerf night, and we run day camps and we run a summer camp. They're governed by 2 different entities. It's kind of just how it kind of conspired. Our summer camp is governed by the Department of Health, and our day camps are governed by the Office of Children and Family Services. And they come and observe each and every time that we host a day camp. And they ran by us opportunity for a grant that they had, so we just applied for it, and we stayed on top of it and actually received $900 towards like toys and like children learning supplies. So we will be going through that list of items that we can get, and in the near future we should be receiving some supplies for the youth center. And that's all I got.
Anything for Mike? There is a chance it's going to be snowing. It probably won't happen here. It never does. But when you think that way, they're talking about snow.
I know. For weeks I was talking about running hay rides. I'm like, yeah, it's middle of April. Like, we're good. Not so much. It's sloppy out there.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Clark, what's going on in the building? Anything for Mike? Bridget? Anything for Bridget? That brings us to Arlene. Did they take your license away? Good. Good. Tim? This is going to be a quick night. Keep it up, Matt.
I'll try. First motion is a previously tabled motion as follows. Whereas understood by the town board of Wheatfield that the state of New York does not allow private sewer lines to service multiple property owners, and whereas property owners along Williams Road in the town of Wheatfield are served by a private sewer, the line that eventually connects with town sewer main, and whereas along with the current private landowners who are served by this private sewer line, there's additional property adjacent to the properties which in the future would seek development in the town of Wheatfield, and therefore be required to hook into a sewer line, and this private sewer line being the most accessible, and whereas for the town to facilitate development of these current properties and other associated undeveloped properties, municipal sewer service is required, and whereas the town has the option of constructing its own new and independent sewer line to hook up these properties, or the town could accept dedication of the private sewer line with certain conditions, including the line being brought up to code and the offer of a perpetual maintenance agreement by the property owners to be serviced. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the town board authorizes the town engineer and town attorney to move forward with regard to the establishment of the sewer line dedication process, easement process, and the preparation of a perpetual maintenance agreement of the property owners, and upon the completion of said agreement, to the satisfaction of the town attorney, town engineer, and town board, the town board is prepared to move forward with the ultimate acceptance and dedication of said sewer line together with necessary easement and required perpetual maintenance agreement.
Does anybody wish to make this motion?
I'm not sure, I believe there was some comments, representative of the developers. Come up and answer any questions.
Mr. Gunn?
Yes, please. I apologize we haven't had anybody here due to scheduling, but I'd like to come up, and I brought a map just in case there was any questions about what it is and why we're attempting to dedicate the sewer. I'm not sure what you all know of the history, but it wasn't our intent when we got site plan approval for the third property to have to dedicate it. The laws changed back in 2009. The current system that has been operating for the past 10 years for the two units that are currently sharing that sewer have had no problems with it, but on a go-forward basis, anybody who would like to connect to it would require this dedication. We looked at all of the alternatives. One of the alternatives we did look at was contacting the DEC and asking them if they would give us a special waiver for this condition. And after a lengthy discussion, they recommended that the dedication to the town was the highest and best outcome. So they put that in writing to me. I don't know if that was ever given to Mr. Brooks or anyone else, but that was by the DEC. So at this point, we've had a hold-up on a project. The project is about a $16 million investment into the town of Wheatfield. There's about 20 to 30 very well-paying jobs. We have not been able to move forward, and without any sewer connection, we cannot move forward because that is the only sewer connection. And I'll just conclude in stating that the entire sewer was built, including the extension to connect this third property at the time of its construction. That portion has not been used. We had the sewer scoped as per the standards. Asked by us, the sewer was in excellent shape, although we did get asked to make some upgrades, which we've agreed to all the conditions asked by us in order to move forward. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
If I recall, Rich was very concerned about the town taking over the
Sure.
property itself, the sewer
Yeah.
itself. And that's why Matt
Yeah.
and your organization worked out the deal with the perpetual agreement, if I'm not mistaken. And that is a perpetual maintenance agreement.
Correct.
Going
Correct.
forward.
Correct. So the intent was to relieve the town of any costs of maintenance or review. And I will state that, it will be brought up to current codes. All the benches put in, manholes put in, and it's been in excellent condition since it's been installed. There's been no problems with it. It's still in excellent condition. And so our hope and belief is that by dedicating it to the town will not incur any costs, only the normal annual scoping if that's what you do, and anything would be billed back to the users of the sewer.
Rich, does that satisfy your concerns? I mean, your guys would have to do occasional inspection, but it would be covered, cost-wise at least, if there wasn't. Go ahead and say it, right?
I do not believe so. Yes. Yes.
Have the repairs been made to date, or are you going to make them if we...
No, we would make those upgrades and repairs when the construction of the building. So the actual dedication, the formal dedication, wouldn't take place until all of those improvements were made and they were satisfied by review of the town engineer. So in fact, what we're asking is for you to accept dedication upon when we finish the job, then we'd have an agreement that you would accept dedication.
So essentially, all three properties will have their own separate sewer connection?
Yes, so the way it currently exists, there's one main sewer line running out to the main, which is on the lateral up and down. I think that's 6th Street to Williams Road, and the two units currently connect down to that unit, and it was extended all the way over to a dead end, which was to serve the final property, and that's where the third connection would be made.
Yeah, I'm looking at the town GIS. I don't see how these are, they're probably not even on our GIS now, right, Tim? Okay.
So we'd have to get easement.
That's included in the agreement. Yes, we've granted a 20-foot easement of maintenance work zone agreement for you to do your repairs, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Part of what we've looked at and has been presented by the attorneys includes easements, and Tim's been through the easements and recommended some modifications if we go forward with it, that it covers everything, as far as covering everything that's needed to get at. We've looked at a proposed perpetual maintenance agreement and all the documents that would be necessary. This motion, in effect, is not accepting it. This is just indicating a willingness of the board and the town to move forward in this procedure so as the developer knows they're not spinning their wheels and going the wrong direction here. Not that there are too many other directions to go into, but
Correct.
But to know if this is an option with the town, that they should incur those expenses of whatever remediation to the line, go forward with, keep working up the maintenance agreement, keep working up the easements to be acceptable.
So when they eventually get to a construction phase, the town, you'll be paying the town's PIP's fee, so our town engineers will oversee the construction?
Yeah, we would follow the normal building code, building development, and a review by your town engineer, of course, yes.
I had another question on the last whereas. I don't completely agree, but it says whereas the town has the option of constructing its own new and independent. I don't see that as an option. I mean, I see the developer wanting, or whoever's doing this, with the option of constructing new or independent lines. But I don't know why that's even in there. But
Well, my intent with that, and certainly that could be deleted, is with regards, I think the other option is to consider, and I'm not an engineer, but to bore under Williams Road to connect each one of these existing properties and any potential new developments separately under Williams Road, which to where we have an existing main, or the other option is that the town runs one on the other side, so they don't have to do that. So, but certainly the issue with obviously additional expense and going under Williams Road and more than once is, according to the engineer, the line on the other side of Williams Road is in what's called, Tim calls it gumbo clay, I believe, which there is some, fear. You start, my understanding, all these multiple hookups in this gumbo, it doesn't do anything to strengthen our existing line. It perhaps only makes it weaker. And that line is not something that they're offering a perpetual perpetual maintenance agreement. And this new line we would accept is in effect guaranteed. Whereas the old one, if they have to hook to it, it's expensive, and I think it may interfere a little bit with the integrity of the existing line that only would lead to perhaps future repairs.
My understanding also is that on the opposite side of Williams Road, there's abandoned piping of location and size is unknown, and it's possible that you can't get access to the sewer. We had a very lengthy review and discussions with people in the know about that. So it's almost, for us or anyone, it's almost an impossible task to get to the other side to try to find the sewer and make a connection.
Tim, what's your thoughts? I guess I ask what's in it for us, just being as a, I guess that area will get developed, we'll sell water and charge for sewer, so I guess that's what's in it for us. If you have to bore the road, you probably never will do the project.
It's actually, it's not even the thought of boring it, it's that there's too many unknowns. Once you get there, you may find that you went through the process and you can't get through the abandoned pipe on the other side. So I looked at 4 or 5 different options to make this work and could not come up with a feasible solution, only knowing that this is the only property that we controlled and owned.
So who's going to design this? Are your engineers going to design this, or are our engineers going to design it, or you're going to design it and get our engineers to approve it?
Yes, the sewer's in place. The engineers have added input as to the upgrades that they would like. So actually, the entire sewer is already laid. The only thing that will be new from a line standpoint is the extension to the new building, which is about 70 feet. That's going to tap into the existing manhole, but the whole rest of the sewer is already in place. So we're going to go through and update that to, it will basically be a brand new sewer. So it's not an old sewer, it's a brand new sewer meeting current codes.
And is that sewer line that's there now on town right-of-way? Or is it on private land?
Isn't it right
That would be the
underneath
easement we get.
driveway?
Yes.
It is right under the driveway now?
It's through the parking lot. Yeah, it's through a portion of the parking lot of the, yeah, sure.
But we wouldn't be paying for it, we wouldn't be digging it up unless we're getting paid for it, so it's not really our problem. Yeah, by of the 3 buildings. are you looking at this to bring the project back to life, the 60 apartment complex back to life, or is it for something else?
Well, what had happened was that the developer that got site plan approval was to lose its financing based upon the time frame that it was taking us. We've been doing this now for well over a year. So they actually relocated that particular project to Lockport. But the project as it stands, they would want to build, but no one can move forward now with the uncertainty without the sewer. So in effect, the land becomes landlocked until we can figure out an outcome.
Could you pass that
Of
map
course.
up here so we could all see it?
That shows the highlighted easement, runs along the sewer.
The proposed easement.
The proposed easement.
Proposed easement, I was at a little bit of a distance here, but it looks like it's right in your front door. I mean, if the sewer department had, out in the parking lot?
So the manholes are very easy to access as well. You know, and that particular sewer was built, again, under the guidelines put forth at the time it was built, under the supervision of the town engineer, under the approval of the town engineer. So it met and continues to meet code. It just needs to be updated to current codes.
Okay, we still actually don't have a motion before us. Does anybody wish to make this motion? Hang on, Walt.
So everything I'm hearing so far, this isn't gonna cost the town anything. You're gonna pay the PIPs, you're gonna be responsible for some time into the future,
Correct.
for maintenance and repairs,
Correct.
however long that is.
Correct.
But I still don't like that last whereas, if you could reword that, Matt, so that, because the town's not considering this as an option for us to construct anything. So I don't like that in there.
I'm fine with that.
You can kill the whole paragraph, really.
We could just,
You can put that into a motion to kill the paragraph if you want a motion.
we could just say the town could accept it with certain conditions, including line being brought up to code, offer perpetual maintenance agreements. So just take out the part about the, option of creating its new independent sewer line to the properties.
I'll make the motion with that word change.
I'll second.
Okay, Walt, you had a question.
Is there a gravity sewage line there?
Those are gravity.
All gravity, no grinding.
No grinding.
That's a big plus for the town.
Well, and it's, the way the perpetual maintenance agreement looks, I mean, whatever expense there will be, there are no grinder pumps, whatever it would be reimbursed by the property owners. So ultimately, it's a perpetual maintenance agreement. It had no end term.
Mhm.
So any maintenance, future maintenance updates, repairs, renovations would be billed to the property
Correct.
owners on
Correct.
their agreement, because they know that otherwise without this they are not, not in violation of the state DEC code that has been recently passed.
Correct.
Okay, if I understand correctly, Larry, we're leaving the whereas, and then we're gonna cross out the town has the option of constructing up to the point of the town could accept dedication. Correct?
As long as we don't have the option to construct our own.
Well, okay, that's my understanding. Randy, you were the second, is that your
Correct.
understanding?
Fine.
Okay, anything else on the question? If not, then all in favor of accepting this motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Mr. Gunn, that's approved.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it, and hopefully we can get to this sooner than later.
All right, next motion from the Highway Department to allow the Highway Department to send Paul Siegman, Superintendent, and Jamie Irving, Deputy Superintendent, for attendance at the 2017 State Highway School at Ithaca College, Ithaca, New York, on June 12th through the 14th. Accommodations would be for 2 nights, total cost of $984. The expenses paid from the Highway Department's 2017 budget.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Moved by Larry, second by Art. Anything on the question? Does that mean I'm in charge for a couple of days, Jamie? Have all those guys in highway underneath? That'll be fun.
We'll put Randy in charge.
That sounds a lot better. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, next motion again from the Highway Department to approve and authorize town supervisor, highway superintendent, and councilman to sign the 2017 Highway Law Section 284 agreement for the expenditure of highway monies within the town of Wheatfield as presented at the April 3rd, 2007 town board meeting. And there is
That was in the backup.
there is in my paperwork, the 2017 agreement.
So moved.
Moved by Randy. I'll go ahead and second. Anything further on the question? I would comment that I'd like to, Clemmer Road is one of the roads on there. Clemmer is starting to get pretty beat up. Perhaps that could be in the later things to be done, just in case we do get that, do get a grant, that we would be able to take further actions at that point. If we don't get the grant, obviously no actions are going to be taken in the near future. Just a comment. Any further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is approved.
Next motion again from the Highway Department to accept and authorize the purchase of a new Kubota mower from Terrain King Bentley Brothers. Said Kubota is to be purchased pursuant to the NJPA awarded contract at a total cost of $85,639.40 to be paid from the Highway Department's 2017 budget. Said purchase from NJPA awarded contract avoids the need for town conducting its own formal bidding process.
Does anybody wish to make this motion?
So moved.
Moved by Randy. Do we have a second? Second by Larry. What's the NJPA stand for? Do we know? What it is, a New York State contract bid? Okay. Anybody with anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, then, late motions from Director of Personnel. Motion to hire Louis Anastasi II as Deputy Building Inspector on a part-time basis.
Get a motion if we can tack on at grade 8, step 1.
Great, step one. Okay, we need a second.
Second.
Second by, Art. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Our next motion to designate Louis Anastasi II as Stormwater Management Officer.
Second.
Moved by Larry, second by Art. Anything on the question? He's gonna have,
Ron Stevens retired at the end of January. Beginning of January, and we've been wrestling with the idea of whether we were going to keep it in highway, sewer, building department. And it took us a couple of months to get everything figured out, but this looks to be the appropriate place to put it. A lot of the towns have made it this way, so. He's going to be a good asset to the building department to get this done. And I think Paul, I guess Paul is to a trucking yet. Oh, you didn't know? Paul Sigmund, highway superintendent, said that he had a truck for the. His firstborn, no. But we're looking forward to getting this program underway because as soon as everything starts on, New York State says we got to be out there inspecting things. So.
and I think part of this is, been looked at and hopefully determined that departments will be doing more of their own work that are relevant to stormwater work. Things that Ron Stevens used to go to other departments to take care of. Hopefully each department will take care of those portions themselves, but Lou would be in charge of it and gather it together to be able to do the report for Wendell each year.
Yeah, some of the departments have garages, you have oil separation, you'll do those yourself and report back to Lou. I think Ron Stevens had rope in that, so I don't think we're gonna be picking up any dead deer counts for that thing, so highway will keep doing those, and maybe have a report how many dead deer you pick up in a year. The salt barn, I think we have to report in on it, on how it was maintained, and keep everything clean there, so there's different pieces of it that maybe Ron is overseeing and doing some of it, that's gonna, we're separating some of the duties, so he's gonna delegate some of those things out, I think everybody knew they were gonna delegate out everything, so.
Anything further on the question? If not, then all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved.
Okay, that is all I have for motions tonight.
Okay. Board member items, Councilman Hoig. Okay, is that it? Councilman Gerbeck. Councilman Retzlaff.
Two things. One is the Ag Group is meeting tomorrow night, trying to secure a grant, working forward to secure rights for land. And the other thing, I have a question I mentioned to you, Bob. I got a phone call today. Of course, most people know I live on Lockport Road. The speed limit's 55. I guess, Kathy, you can write a letter to the state requesting to drop the speed limit. I got a phone call today from another person, and I'll just tell you, I talked to farmers that live on, and they say you can't get out on the road, and half the time we just pull out in front of people. Well, that's not exactly good, so I guess if we don't try, or if I don't do my piece, that's what people have told me. We just pull out, after 10 minutes, we just got to pull out in front of people. I don't know that that's the right thing I needed to hear, but that's how it is. They're trying to make a living, and there's so much traffic, which we understand. We live there. Just trying to slow them down a bit. So I guess, if I'm correct, Bob, I can request to make a motion for Kathy to send a letter to the state.
The board would pass a motion asking for a specific motion to slow it down from 45 or 55 to 45 in a specific place.
Well, I would say 55 to 45 in the entire town.
Kathy then fills out a special, I don't remember the number, but it's a form.
Yeah.
Which then goes to the county can approve, and then it goes to the state. The state makes the decision on the speed.
Did you hear me, Dave? I would like to make that motion. And I'm going to say the entire town. Town of Niagara is 45. I don't see a whole big difference from town of Niagara to town of Wheatfield, so why not in Wheatfield? Probably never happened, but if I don't ask, I'm not doing my part.
Okay, so your motion is to lower the speed of Ward Road.
No, Lockport Road.
Lockport Road from Town Line Road all the way to Town Line of Town of Niagara, to the airbase.
Yes.
Does anybody wish to
It wouldn't be the air, well, it would actually be by Doobies is where it starts at 45. But let's just say Walmore Road. Yes, Walmore Road to the Town Line Road.
Do we have a second on Randy's motion? Moved and seconded. Anything on the question? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion is approved. That's what it is. Anything else, Randy?
That's it.
I don't have much, but it's the end of the year. March 31st is the end of our reporting year. The end of the year is actually the end of the fiscal year, but you have to report it to the state by the 31st. Ed got it done about a week ahead of time. He has given us copies of that report. He's also broken it down into a few different things. We had some struggles last year. There have been some reductions in sales tax values, so at least I was quite concerned that conditions were gonna get worse, not better. We did have a windfall last year because the recycling buckets that we had paid for, I think 4 or 5 years ago, were bought on a grant, and they finally paid off on the grant. And that was able to bring us into a positive. We actually made money, a little bit of money last year, not a lot. Debt-wise, we are close, but we did have to increase our debt last year because of Fairmont Park, because of the 2 sewer things that we had to rebuild. There were 2 bridges that we had to rebuild this year. So this last year, we had a little over $1 million worth of bonding go up at the same time that we're paying $1 million of bonding down. So our total bonding went up a little. If the papers need the exact numbers, I can get them for you. So overall, we're actually in a little bit better condition right now than we were a year ago, which is nice to know. It does get tougher because of the sales tax situation. That's a substantial loss for us. And that's really all I have to say. Go ahead. I asked Vince to try and put that together. I don't know where he stands, and he's not here tonight, so I can't ask him. He was trying to look for a time when we could have a meeting. If somebody has a date in mind, I could ask him if that's a good date. I think it was right after lunch, the ones I've been to. If I remember right, the last couple that I participated in were right after lunch. That's when most people were here, crews were all set for the afternoon, and we could afford to have a meeting. It's a good time by me. But I do not have a date in mind. I don't know how far Vince got on that. We do have negotiations coming up with both our Teamsters Union as well as with our fire companies. Yeah, we have to get together with the fire companies in the near future as well. We now know where our numbers are, so we can go ahead and proceed with those as well. And that's all I have. Our next meeting is scheduled for 2 weeks from tonight, April 17th. At this point, we don't have any preliminaries. 7:30 would be our meeting time. We'll go back to public input. Go ahead, Larry. No. Nothing. I have not met. No. Anybody else on any subject? Dave?
A couple updates on some recent events since last week, Tuesday or Thursday. The governor did announce the 3rd round of the $500 million internet broadband funding. Round 3 is now open to submit June. We've been working with Charter to finish their build out. They've committed to Niagara and Orleans County to build out up to 95 to 97% of all of the homes in our 2 counties, leaving in Niagara County roughly a little over 900 homes. We're hoping that with the 3rd round of funding that will officially finish the job. If not, we're continuing to work with other vendors to reach experience, on March 21st, in meetings in Washington with Gillibrand, Higgins, Town, and Stewart, discussing the possible base closure of RAC for interbase. Seems to have grown legs again. Seems to be interest in Washington, also the Pentagon. We don't expect the announcement in 2018, but it could come before the 2018. That said, once the announcement goes through, Congress passes it, it's still another 2 years out. We've got a lot of work to do, working with South Calgary, the SCLO, the lobbyists, there's a number of initiatives we're going to identify to help fortify the base from closure. So, seems to be growing again. I want everybody to know that we're on the forefront of that, and we're working hard to try to bring not only more business, but to bring more credit, if you will, for the base.
Yeah, one of the problems with the BRAC is the comments I've heard were that in the last BRAC, it cost $30 billion to go through the process, for Congress to go through the process of the BRAC, and they only saved $5 billion a year. In the end, that is a savings, but it takes a while to get it, and you have another BRAC before the other one's done. They're trying to find a way to do it at a lower cost. So we'll see how that goes.
One thing that we did call, not sure what that is, but you call the shipping group that hired to do a strategic assessment for our base. There were several different recommendations. A couple of those are going to move up to the forefront. Eventually, those are some of the recommendations we're looking at. We're turning up the weekly base, as you know.
Thank you, Dave. Anybody else on any subject? If nobody wishes to speak, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, I think I heard a motion and a second to my left. All in favor?